questions ain't just here for you to play. Cause I'm addicted and I want another taste. I know you say we was just kicking out a day, but when I'm with another I cannot replace. See, I be tweaking, staring at your face.
Looking for so many fake ads and accounts. I feel like podcasts make it easy for people to see who you truly are.
Donovan's definitely a beast. I see him. You could just tell. He's a beast.
Well, that's the funny part is like he looks the part, but like he is the part more than he looks the part. And he's one of those guys that like doesn't care about food, super disciplined. Like he's obsessed with jiu-jitsu. I think he's like every marketing company, like Fuji's the company that reps us really well. He's like every company's quintessential dream. Yeah. He's super disciplined. He really has no vices.
Yeah.
And I've been around like the top of the food chain MMA gyms where like
everyone has a vice.
Fighters are wild.
Yeah.
And like Donovan's biggest thing might be like watching anime. Yeah. That's his biggest vice.
I actually asked him, I was like, hey, like, do you drink at all? He's like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's when I knew. I was like, no wonder you're so good. Like,
oh man, I'll tell you a funny story. We were doing this self-defense seminar thing, and I was like, guys, we should go out to celebrate. You know, we're teaching self-defense to this local high school.
I was going to ask you about that later.
This local high school group of teachers, they were pretty outside the box thinking. Instead of like having some financial person come in and go, this is how you save $10 extra a month, they were like, hey, why don't we teach you guys self-defense? And so the school contacted me because of, I think, Google or something, and I got a couple of the guys that I know are like super well versed in self-defense. Because we have a super sound curriculum here, so I know everyone is, but I wanted to bring like a fair assessment of like regular people. Although Donovan doesn't look regular on the way there, because if you see Donovan, you'll know he looks like if Adonis was chiseled, like what Adonis would want to be is what Donovan looks like. Yeah. But on the way up there, you know, we were like, I go, hey, we should go out to eat to celebrate, doing this and not thanking you guys for helping. And I'm like, where you guys want to go? And Donovan's like, well, I don't really, if it was up to me, I really wouldn't eat. I don't like to. I'm like, you don't like to eat? I'm like, man, no wonder why he never has to cut weight for anything. He always looks good. Like, but if I had that, man, I would be.
Yeah. For real. I was thinking too, it's like, man, like I'm gonna eat clean. Like, man, I will be like so ripped, so lean. Yeah. And then, man, you're like a week goes by, I'm fucking ordering Uber Eats, man. And I try, but man, you gotta be disciplined for that.
Yeah.
But what made you even want to start your own academy?
I just, watching Rob Magow. He was such a good steward to his business and like teaching people, and like he like really cared about people learning self-defense because he's a retired law enforcement person, and like he's the top of the food chain as far as like self-defense and like de-escalation. He owns a company called Officer Survival Series where he goes around and teaches law enforcement and branches of military like how to do actual like controlling of suspects or whatever. But watching him do that and the passion he had for that, I'm like, man, I was really drawn to that. And then knowing that I could help my community, and like, I don't know, there's a part of me that's still like the 7th grade fattest kid in the middle school, like making fun of, and like slowest kid. That is still inside of me. And like when I see normal people, I'm like, man, you could be this if you just apply yourself for this amount of time. And it is rewarding to see regular people become like absolute animals. It changes their life. I mean, I can give you probably the most profound change in the academy is a kid named Yo-Yo. Ioannis is his name, and he's lost like 90 pounds from doing jiu-jitsu, and he was made fun of a lot and like looked down on, and I'm teasing him, but like the dork in school, and everybody picked on him, and he probably had bad self-perception of how he perceived himself. And, his physique has changed, his mentality has changed, and like he went from being like the made fun of and like picked on kid to like, I mean, he's a legit like martial artist dude. Like
I rolled with him last Sunday. Yeah, he's good. He's good.
And he's lost 90 pounds.
I never knew that.
Yeah, see, that's funny. Like, if you were to see a picture of him, you'd be like, I don't believe. You think it's AI. Yeah. Because he sent me a picture the other day of himself like doing some weightlifting thing. I'm like, I can't believe you look like that. And just the other day, he said, well, maybe like a month ago, some guy that picked on him in high school and made fun of him and like called him bad words and bad names and stuff. He saw him at like the mall, and he, you know, he's the popular, like good-looking, cool dude, in like Carmel High School, and you know, Yo-Yo was the fat Egyptian kid that everyone made fun of, and then he saw Yo-Yo and couldn't believe what he looked like, and he was like, "Wow, you do jiu-jitsu?" And he was all fascinated, kissing his butt and doing all this stuff, and I bet, and then Yo-Yo, I was thinking like, I wonder if I'd pick this dude up and slam him on the ground and get on top of him, if he would talk the same stuff he talked in high school. And that's the mentality change that happens. Like when you are the fat dork in high school, the physique changes, the mentality changes, everything, your life changes. It's truly transformative.
It's gonna be crazy because like like a few years from now, like, or not even a few years from now, like he's gonna look at you like, you know, like this guy changed my life forever. Like when he's 30 or like 40, like this guy changed my life forever, Tommy, you know?
Yeah, that's the one thing. And it's not just me. There's other guys in here, Matt Baker, Jeff Wanius, Drew. I can go, there's a list of tons of guys that have made such an impact. Like, I'm only one person. I know I might be like the head coach here, but we have other coaches here. And truth be told, if we are like give you like core values, one of the things we are trying to like change people's life. We're turning boys into men.
Of course.
And men into real men. Because a lot of these guys out here thinking they're tough, but they'll go inside when it's cold. They'll quit when it gets hard. And we do a thing here. I think have you been here when we Shark Tank somebody?
No, but I've been in some Shark Tanks. Like, oh my goodness.
So we'll find out how tough you are. We'll find the end of you. But guys like Yo-Yo, I know it's people just think it's just jiu-jitsu, but you know, we have people that have come closer to Christ by coming in here because there's Christians in here.
Oh, I thought you remember like getting choked or something.
No, well, they do. There's people that get choked out and they'll see, Grandpa, is that you? It's like, and they don't know if it's Christ or Grandpa coming down to help them, like when they're getting choked out. But guys like Yo-Yo, it won't just affect his life with losing 90 pounds. It'll end up, the standard will be set for when he gets married and he has kids, and like the way he raises his kids now will be no more eating Uncrustables, no more being weak. There'll be discipline in his household. There'll be chores to be had. They'll have to learn how to take care of themselves because we have a kid class motto. I don't say this in adult class, but it stands for FRED, which means focus, respect, energy, and discipline. So we have a kids class where if you can focus, you know, then you can't learn. If you can't show respect when the teacher or the coach is talking, you would get in trouble. And like we teach kids, they have to control their energy. If you're jumping around and waving your arms, like you can't be paying attention. And like we will teach you how to be focused and respect your coaches and control your energy with some good old-fashioned discipline. But it's the transformative stuff too, not just for Yo-Yo. You know, he's in his 20s and a college student, but it's for men. But man, some of the kids is wild. Well, like kids can't stop moving, they can't sit down, or they can't listen, or they can't stop moving. And now and I don't ever. This is one thing, David. I'll never do this. I'm old school like this. I don't, just because like you paid for a year, like, oh, you're an automatic 2-stripe white belt. Nah, dude, it don't work like that in my gym. You're gonna earn it. I can promise you that. But like, and so that's one thing too for kids. Like I don't give away stripes, and I'm not talking bad about martial arts. I've done other martial arts, taekwondo and karate and all that stuff.
I heard you.
But like, I get calls. I'm not kidding. I say 5 a month. Where like, oh, my son goes to such and such karate school here in whatever town that's local to here, and like, oh, I don't know how this happened. He's a 3-stripe black belt in karate, and a football player slammed him on his head and got on top of him and beat him up. And my son has been able to break 7 boards. I feel so bad, but that's the normal person thinks karate or taekwondo is gonna do it, and it just don't.
Breaking board, the more boards you break, the more good you are. No, it doesn't work like that. But how difficult was it to even start up this academy? Like, what do you have to go through to even start an academy?
Well, man, we could have a 2-part series for a podcast in this, but to keep it super abbreviated, you know, I wanted to have an academy once I got to Indiana. I moved here from Connecticut during COVID, and then I was teaching, and then I really wanted to own an academy, just because I really enjoyed teaching and coaching people. I get more out of like watching other people's success than like watching my own. And you know, everyone has their own opinion. Like, oh, so-and-so want to start an academy so he could be rich. If starting an academy made you rich, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
That's not how starting academies work. I had to shout out to James Klingerman. I bought an academy from him that was pretty small, and James is an amazing coach, an amazing teacher, and I've learned a lot from James. He's a black belt here in Indianapolis on the south side, but I ended up buying the academy, and it didn't have as many students as it has now. It's grown exponentially, but I mean, to be completely honest, just God. I prayed and prayed and prayed to own an academy, and every obstacle that could have happened stood in my way, stopped me. Well, money.
Yeah.
I don't know who has like 6-figure money just laying around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but long story short, as soon as I just gave up and said, okay, if this is for me and you want me to have it, God, then I'll.
Yeah.
I gave up, and then as soon as I gave up, deal was done. And then
Damn.
Fuji, you know, I had a relationship with them, and then they came to bat, and like all these awesome mats and the spring floor, and I can talk about Fuji, but all that stuff came together so quickly, and what normally takes people 5, 6, 8 years, I did it like in 3 months.
Damn.
And I blame it on, you know, God. I don't say blame, but like, if
Yeah.
it wasn't for him, I mean, he moved everything out of the way, and
Yeah.
he has all, I had to give him all the credit.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I heard you talking about like tests, some type of test. You gotta take tests to. I don't know if it was about starting the academy, how to take.
Oh, you mean
tests.
like for IBJJF?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's just like to become a black belt academy owner. Like for IBJJF, you got to do all this certain criteria. You got to pass, you know, the safe sport background check, or a safe sport like thing.
I
where
never
you're
knew
like,
that.
Yeah, all these criteria. Cost $460.
And you have to do that to be even listed as like a.
That's just to be an academy owner.
To be an academy
But first you have
owner.
to get a black belt certification. So you have to be a certified black belt, or you have to like take a course.
How do you do that? How do you get a certification for a black
You
belt?
got, well, first you got to be a IBJJF individually. Someone's got to vouch for you. And I primarily trained through my belt system under a Pedro Sauer Academy through Rob Magow, but there's a guy named Ishmael Bentley who runs all of Pedro's stuff for his academy stuff, and blue belt to purple, purple to brown, and then brown to black, and then Ishmael Bentley through Pedro Sauer and Rob like vouched for me, and I was a black belt, but then you got to have like credentialed things, and like you got to prove it. Someone's got to vouch for you, and they're like, okay, you know, David is a black belt. Okay, well, have you competed? They like look up all these things, and then you become a certified black belt. Well, then once you become a certified black belt, if you want to own an academy, you can't just let no purple belt own an academy. It takes a certified black belt. At least this is the way I understand it. And then you got to do a background check. You got to do a first aid CPR courses. You got to do a safe sport where you like take this 10-hour online course about like how to treat adults and kids and be aware of violence and like assault. And you got to take an online test where you watch a webinar through IBJJF. And this is just to get the certification. So like if you compete at this academy for IBJJF, which is International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, which is like the professionals of Jiu-Jitsu. Yep. I now can credential you because I've now passed all this criterion that fit in a box. But the funny thing is, you can own an academy and never do any of that stuff. But just to make it like more credentialed, I went through this stuff. So like, you know, Bushido, which is the name of the academy here, I wanted it to be like the most official.
Yeah, that's more as official as it gets.
Yeah, and like, you know, I have people that depend on me, and I depend on people for learning, and just like most people in life that are successful, you gotta have mentors, and I have mentors that I look up to that I weigh out what they say and what they do and what their experience is, and but I will say a majority of the success that I've had here is from my former coach and just the partnership I've had with Fuji. They've been they've been top of the food chain.
Yeah. What's the meaning behind the gym?
Bushido?
Yeah. What's the meaning behind it?
Yeah. So it's like the code of the warrior for the samurai warrior. Back in the feudal days of being a samurai, they lived by a code, which is 7 things, but like respect, honor, duty. These, I guess you would call them like creed that live by the warrior. So I know people can name their academy whatever they want, but I've always been so interested in like samurai warriors and like Japanese culture and like how they behave and the discipline that it takes to be that. And I love the name Bushido.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to Google it and to see. I was like,
Did you read the?
Yeah, I read the samurai stuff.
At the front of the academy, I actually have a sign that actually has all 7 of the credence things and what they mean and why they do that. But I do think culture is the most important thing, and that speaks to almost like the core values. Like I won't let somebody come in here and be disrespectful and disrespect the coaches and beat up the kids and beat up, the guys that are newer. Like if some big tough guy comes in here that's
you ever had a guy like that?
Not here.
No, yeah. Okay.
But I've been a part of academies where dudes come in and do that stuff, and I've got like hey, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And it's always funny, the guys that do that stuff, the real respectful people that have like lasted long, they never do that stuff.
Yeah.
They're super respectful. Like if I were to come to your school in Chicago, like the first thing I would do is come right up to the coach and like I would let him know that I would be there, or if you did or whatever, we came in together, I would let them know, and I would be super respectful. Because people that do that stuff, they never really last at a gym. They get kicked out and go to the next gym and the next gym. But the reason this place has been so successful, I think, is because it's not just me doing that and behaving that way. It's everybody.
Yeah.
And the people that don't do that, like some people stop smoking, they stop behaving a certain way, and it changes their life. And
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. Like, how did your partnership with Fuji Mats even start?
I lived in Boston and I trained at Fuji Gym, which is Jimmy Pedro. He's the Olympic judo coach for the U.S. Olympic team. And at the time, I'm just like, oh, it's a gym. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then I go up there and there's this guy named Travis Stevens, I didn't know this at the time, Olympic silver medalist for the United States judo team.
Oh, wow.
And now he's like the big time famous guy. And and trained with him, and I just went as hard as I could. And then at the end of my experience, I think I was a white to purple belt when I was going up there, and they were always so awesome to me. And I've trained in all the brands, Shoyoroll, Atama, Hayabusa, Origin. I've trained with every brand gi and apparel, and my body style is I'm all torso and no limbs, and like big shoulders and like no neck. And for me, Fuji fit me the best, and they were always, even when I was just a regular student customer and I would buy something, if something happened, they always were super nice and super professional. And I know they made mats, and when I went to a place that had, well, you've trained on when the mats are on the ground, and when the mats have this springboard.
Springboard, yeah.
Can you imagine, like, how does it feel when you leave the springboard and go back to a?
I don't know, man. It's like definitely a lot stiffer. Yeah. Definitely a lot stiffer. Yeah.
You imagine doing takedowns hard on not a spring mat like this, and it like bounces. It feels so much better.
Yeah, it feels a lot better. Like I got I forgot who it was, but I got hit with an Uchimata, like clean, where whole body flip, boom. Yeah. But it was like,
bouncing,
bouncing, yeah.
The Fuji, the springboard floor thing, that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. So I got to get one of these things. And long story short, the reason it came together so quick is because, here I am going to open an academy, and I need to put down, a couple thousand square feet of mat space. It's expensive.
Mats are expensive.
Yeah, and I called Zebra, I called all the companies, and Dalymer and Fuji, and it got to the point where, like, these companies were all kind of similar. And I was like, you know what, let me just shoot my shot. And I, as a former salesperson, I sent an email to Jimmy Pedro, and I was like, hey, I've come up to your gym. I've trained up there. Everybody at Fuji's been so nice to me, and now I'm trying to buy this stuff, and like, I feel like I'm being treated like no one's paying attention to me. I'm just trying to give you my money. Like, do you want to take my money?
Yeah.
And that email, I don't think anyone ever really does that.
Yeah.
They usually just deal with like a rep who like doesn't care and just sells the mat, and they're like whatever. But the fact that I went to Jimmy then talked to, I don't know, and then Jimmy did it with me personally because he owns Fuji mats, and he's like the name of Fuji.
Yeah.
From Hatashida Sports, and man, what normally takes like months to get, it was like it arrived like in less than 3 weeks, and I was like, man, I didn't know you were gonna do it that fast. I need to pay for all this stuff. Like, I don't have time to pay for all that.
Then so he just sent it off?
Yeah, well they had all this stuff, the springboard and the gray mats and the black, the Tommy mats, and then normally, you know, these customized mats, they take a long time,
yeah.
and they were so awesome. Kevin Callahan, and he's been awesome. He was like the guy that helped me put together all this stuff. And Patrick, who is, I think, an owner of Fuji mats with Jimmy, they've been unreal. And then that's half of it. You know, the mats and all this space has been amazing, and Fuji mats has been incredible. But, you know, Tom Trutnow, who's helped me design all this stuff, actually, all the stuff that people wear, like
the shirt,
the comp stuff,
everything.
And he, it's funny, whatever's in my head, I will tell Tom, and then, you know, most places like, oh yeah, we'll get around to it. Tom answers me like right away, and he's super professional, and like sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, it's 8 o'clock at night, I'm expecting him to like answer me like, you know, tomorrow, but and like, he's like, I just got done with class. What do you need? And I'm like, man, don't answer me. I feel bad now. And then he'll answer me, and then he'll be like, let me get you these 3 designs of what you're looking for, and let's get it. And then like, he gets it right away. It's super professional. They answer the call. They Zoom call if I have something wrong with my mats or something wrong with the design or something rips or tears. I don't know if there's a company better. Because I've been everywhere, man. I've seen every academy, and every professional fighting gym. I've been to ATT, I've been to Syndicate, I've been to all the big
brands and stuff.
Yeah, all the big gyms, and they're all awesome. But when Fuji takes care of an academy, man, they mean it.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any academy in Indiana that is Fuji outfitted like me. I think we are the only one. Yeah. And we're getting ready to double the amount of mat space. We're going to make this place huge.
How?
We're going to take over the whole place.
Damn.
And this time I might have Fuji come and build it, because we're just a bunch of dads trying to figure out how to put in all this stuff, and
that's great. That's
I don't know how to do it. So we're going to get full bag rack system. We got bags now that are hanging on a track system, but we'll do all that stuff, and we'll have a turf and put all the stuff in, and we're going to try to really make it a destination gym.
Yeah, for sure.
And Fuji's going to be a part of that.
Fuji.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like Fuji everything. That's my motto.
I see that.
Yeah.
See. Yeah. But I was going to say, how was it going to a high school and like just teaching everybody that like?
Oh, it was really cool. It's funny because again, it was men and women, and the guys were super like understanding. I also think like when Donovan walks in the room, everybody's like,
oh shit,
like they're all scared of him because he's like he's so muscular looking. And it's funny, it's self-defeating when you look like him and you do something to somebody, they're like, oh well,
he's gonna hurt, or he's big, he's just big.
Yeah, they just think, oh well, if I look like that too, I'd be able to do that. And then so that's why I'm like, well, here's a 47-year-old dad that looks like, you know, a history teacher, and then he does it, and it's better or as good as Donovan. Mm-hmm. But it was super eye-opening to the school. Like everyone was super appreciative, and like I got tons of comments and reviews and people like saying how great of a time they had.
That's dope.
And it's always eye-opening. And we were just showing like simple, basic self-defense stuff. Like,
what were you guys teaching? Like some?
Well, just like distance control and management, like how to fall down properly, how to stand up properly. We were showing some other stuff. Like I didn't show like tons of throws or anything, but you know what to do if you're a woman and you get grabbed from behind, like kind of like the Kimura grip, and turn and you know, break the space and go away. I try to like. That's another thing too. Like if you're a beginner student, you walk in and there's like, you don't even know what a purple belt means or a brown belt means. You just know that's a white belt and that's a black belt. And then when you train, you're like, that's what a black belt feels like. I'll never be that, but you can. This takes time, and you train. But I think one of the things that this school has been so good is because the white belts get treated just like the black belts, and everyone is trying to help you. Now, we do have hard rounds. We go hard when the time's right. But I'm more about skill acquisition than I am about making. I can make people tough, but like tough and unskilled, that's a bad combination. But imagine if you're tough and skilled, that's a tremendous combination. I
realized that it's always the most quietest, most nicest people that are the most dangerous in jiu-jitsu. It would be like the guy, he's sitting, he doesn't talk to anyone. I'll do a roll with him, and he would just like destroy me. And it'll be like the loudmouth guys that like talk a lot. They're like easy to control, like submit them. It's crazy.
Yeah, I actually have thought about this a lot as I've went up the food chain. Is like when I was a beginner, you know, when I got my blue belt, I was like, man, I hope nobody looks me in the eyes like directly. But as time has gone on, it's like I know the outcome. Now I can't predict someone's going to hit me in the head with a baseball bat when I'm not looking. But like and fighting is different, you know, than jiu-jitsu, and so that's why self-defense is so important. And so I try to make everything based in self-defense more than I'm like fancy guards or like, oh, do a
most schools are competition orientated, where like you do like a berimbolo or something. It's not gonna work on the streets.
Imagine doing like spending a year and a half of doing a berimbolo, and you're the guy. And I do all the berimbolo stuff. I don't like to do that much anymore. I know how to defeat it, and there's fads, and then there's like positional awareness and control. Like you'll never berimbolo a person that won't let you get in that position. So like now imagine you spent a year developing this like position, and like, but you never get to it. It's like, well, now you can't get out of side control. Were you here this week when we were doing all these games where it's like,
I was there.
It's eye-opening when you're like a blue belt. You're like, no white belt could ever hold me down. You're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I can't get out of this. It's funny because, you know, when I would go to Danaher's when I was like a blue belt, purple belt, and
I can't believe you met Danaher.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would remember me, and like he'd see my face and maybe remember me. I think I've let him down a couple times just because I'm like doing a move, and I was a beginner-esque. I was like a blue belt, purple belt, but I would go there and he would teach one position, and I can remember when I would go there, like it'd be like 50 minutes of an explanation of something that like I don't even understand what's happening. But you know what's funny is time has went on, like the majority of what I've learned, or like what I do to everybody, is what I've learned there. Like we would do like the worst position possible and work our way out of it. And now it's become like super popular. And I was doing this like 10, 15 years ago of like, I can solve these problems. What I learned from John was like, everything is structurally sound and perfect. I don't have to be faster than you. I don't have to be more athletic than you. I just have to make you less athletic than me. And then if I do everything like without flaw, meaning like I don't get in a bad position, and if I do, I'm going to escape, because I've been in the worst. Like I let you get both hooks in, a body lock, and one arm trap, and you have a fully locked in naked choke. I might not get out now, but like a week later, I get 3 escapes, 4 escapes, and now, so I'm willing to take massive risks.
What's your take on like juicing and like TRT and stuff like
that? When I was a professional runner, like that was like the thing. I never did because it's just not conducive to. I was always so scared of it, and now when I see everybody does it, I don't think TRT makes you a better grappler.
No.
I don't think jiu-jitsu makes you gets you any additional benefit other than strength. But again, like I heard this from Pedro Sauer once, where he was like, strength is a card, power is a card, technique is a card, timing is a card, leverage is a card. Well, like that makes one of your cards better. But like what happens if you're like the elusive guy that can manipulate somebody that's super strong, but you just have to trust in technique? I would say as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody, I guess you might hurt somebody else if you're doing, I don't know, steroids, but I don't know. I have a different outlook, just because being a performer runner, you know, it's bad. But, you know, if everybody's going to take it, go get it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's a lot of money, a lot of risk in your health.
Yeah, it's really crazy. What do you think are some of the best benefits of training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? What do you think people get out of it?
It's ultra life transformative. I don't think it's just like, oh, I got in shape, I made some friends. I think it changes you as a person. People that used to be former quitters, people that would bend at the first time something got hard. If they're a kid, they'll quit when the test gets hard, or they'll complain about something. They'll always find the easy way out. And I think jiu-jitsu teaches you, like, you can do more if you just train. If you learn the right way and you come in and you give it the proper, you'll give it the proper credence. Yeah. Your discipline will develop. It's not easy, but it's worth it. 100%. And of course, all the other stuff, like you find your tribe of people doing jiu-jitsu that are friends, and you'll make buddies, and you'll lose weight, you'll get in shape, and you'll get to travel to cool tournaments. It depends how far you want to take it, but I can't think of anything in my life, and I've seen the top of the mountain in other sports, that is like so life transformative as jiu-jitsu.
I agree. Because
like if you go to the YMCA league and you do basketball, or you go to CrossFit, a dude breaks in your house, you know, CrossFit him. You're like, hey, dude, I just did the Liz workout 2 days ago. You better not step in this house. Right. Versus like controlling distance, get the guy on the ground, tell your girlfriend, your wife, your friends, like, hey, call the police, or give them the business.
Give them the business, 100%.
That's why it's like, I can't believe you get to like learn how to defend yourself and all these other benefits. I can't think of a better thing. And if I was in law enforcement, I don't know how it's not required.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? I mean, I can give you plenty of stories from my old gym where like guys that law enforcement officers didn't train, and then guys did train, and like they just hold the cop down, and they're like, then they end up getting arrested anyways. But it's like, and you see all these stories online of these
on Instagram.
Yeah.
Do you follow Runner Gracie? I think is his name.
Henry Gracie. Yeah.
Where like he's always posting
breakdowns.
Yeah. Where these cops can't hold a guy. It'll be like 3 cops and they can't hold a single person down. Man, when I watch those videos, I'm like, dude, just like half a year of jiu-jitsu and like, or like not even that, man.
We have cops that have come in here that, we had a story, a guy in here that had I think it was a knife or a needle pulled on him on a traffic stop. And he did like the good old fashioned Gracie 101, blocked it, turned the corner, got his hands together, got the guy to the ground, cuffed him. And the gym that I came at from before here was a self-defense, like law enforcement gym. Man, it's life altering. And could you imagine being a cop? It's not like, even being in the military, like, you know, you're going into battle. If you're a cop, it's a Tuesday, you're getting ready to go to your son's t-ball practice, and they go, hey, David, go to this dispute. You go there, you could lose your life.
Yeah, 100%.
So you got to always be ready. Versus like, you know when you're going to battle in the military, but as a police officer, it could be next Tuesday. It could be 2 days before you retire. Yeah. It could be next week. Yeah. That's why I can't believe I would never want to be a law enforcement officer and not train jiu-jitsu, even just be a blue belt. Yeah. And it's really over.
Belt, it's over.
Because a blue belt can control almost any human being on earth.
100%.
And like, can you imagine walking around, like, to ask you a question, how funny is it, like, what would happen now if this David met week 1 David in a fight? I know a week 1 David probably like, dude, I'm going to give this dude the business. Dude.
It's like, the thing is, like, I don't even have to hurt anyone. I can just like, embarrass. Just like, you know, tie your hands up, and just like laugh at you. And, like, what are you gonna do now? You know, it's just, it's jiu-jitsu has transformed my life. You know, I used to like drinking and smoking all day, every day. And then I started training, and then these guys started going to competitions. So I'm like, I'm not gonna win this competition if I'm drinking and smoking every day. So I'm like, what if I just stop? And then it's crazy how it just transforms your life.
That's the same thing. I actually couldn't believe I'm going to the jiu-jitsu, and I'd gotten the bad habit of like, oh man, David's going to go to class, and and now I was like, man, what if David learns the secret technique? I was like, what if he learns the secret, the secret Kimura?
I was like, I have to go.
And then I'm like, oh, you know, something happened. I got to travel for a week. I come back, and somebody got better than me. I'm like, no, I can't take no days off. And now I'm training 5-6 days a week.
Yeah. And then you're ripped, you're lean, man. You're freaking looking good. You feel good. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, man, I appreciate you letting me train here while I'm on this business trip, whatever. Thanks for, the clothing and stuff.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, man.
Yeah, man, appreciate it so much.